I'd like to continue sharing some thoughts with you from Matthew chapter 5, which is the first chapter of Christ's Sermon on the Mount. And toward the end of the chapter, he makes some what could be considered to many startling statements about one's own physical body. He said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 29, if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. And this same subject is quoted in Mark chapter 9 and developed a little bit further in the Bible. Jesus mentioned the foot in Mark chapter 9, but the principle is that the physical body is not nearly as important as the eternal soul is vitally important. We place so much value on taking care of our physical body, and we think so much of the time about how things affect us physically, and rightly so. We ought to take care of our body, but don't fail to understand at the same time that the spiritual is far more compelling and far more valuable than the physical. Some people imagine that the very, very, very worst thing that could possibly happen to them would be to have some injury or ailment or some kind of a debilitating condition in their physical body. And Jesus would say to that, no, it's the spiritual that's far more important. And if you have good health and you have salvation as well, you are truly a blessed person. But the most important part of all that is the spiritual, is that you have spiritual life in Christ, that your eternal destiny is forever secure in Him. And that's the thing that you ought to be most thankful for. That's the thing that we all should consider to be the most important issue of life, is having our eternal soul secure in Christ. The Lord asked the question in Mark 8:36, what will it profit a man if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? And if we think about that in exact and specific terms, what would it profit somebody if their body is in fine condition and good health, and they live to be a ripe old age because they've taken good care of themselves and they're very healthy and all of this, and then they die and they lose their soul? We're all going to die one day, and the very most important and valuable part of our being is our spirit. And if you're saved, be thankful for that. And you may not have things going exactly the way you would like for them to, humanly speaking, physically speaking. But if your spirit is secure in Christ, and you know for sure that your soul will spend eternity forever with Him in heaven, rejoice and thank God for that, and ask God for His grace and to reveal to you His purposes in allowing you to suffer physical infirmity. If you do, there's a purpose for it, and it probably is a spiritual purpose. And seek the Lord first and thank Him for His goodness and for His grace and mercy to you, and then work on the rest of your life. But don't fail to see the balance of it, and keep in balance your perspective about the value of human life and physical life versus the compelling value of spiritual life. This will also affect you in your relationships with other people and how you think of them and how you approach them. The most important part of our being is our spiritual being. And thank God that He's given us real answers to spiritual life. Think on these things. Have the right balance in your life. God bless you today.